All right, guys, welcome back. It is time for another episode of DWMOD. You know that's Disagree With Me or Don't. I'm your host, Mikey Wilson. Louie, get us started, brother.
Ready? College football is now B1G versus SEC.
Down, put.
If you ain't listening to All Right Bet with me and Andy St. Clair, you're throwing away money.
Ready? All Lions fans drinking that Kool-Aid. Super Bowl.
Hey, disagree with me or don't. That's how it works.
All right, guys, that is how it works, baby. We'll disagree with me or don't. We're going to get through it this weekend. Big week. Big week. One of my favorite weeks in college football. It is Army-Navy week. And you guys that listen to the show, you know what that means. We're having our resident Army-Navy picker on the show. If you watched last year, you're familiar with this gentleman. If you're not, we'll bring you up to speed. Mr. Rob Frost, U.S. Army Major and Chief of Operations of the 101st Combat Aviation Brigade of the 101st Airborne. Welcome back to the show. It is Major Rob Frost. Did I get that right, Rob?
Retired.
I was going to get to that. Just retired, baby. Gotta love it. As you can tell by the facial hair.
Yeah. It's either that or I went to the dark side. That didn't happen. I'm too old and broke.
Too old and broke, brother. How you been, man?
Good, man. Just living the retired life, getting back to work, working with regular people. Calming down, settling in, getting healthy, getting my mind right, spending time with my family, watching a lot of football.
Got to be enjoying that.
Yep. I missed whole seasons. You know, I watched football games on little 13-inch TVs in Adobe huts in Afghanistan, piping in the Armed Forces Network at 3 a.m.
That's crazy, man.
Now it's a lot easier to just digest everything. So, yeah, living the life. Can't complain.
Well, that's a lot of stuff there that I wanted to ask you. That this is the week to be getting into that. You see, I'm wearing my salute to veterans. You got my Lions. Man, I love this hat, dude. I love this hat. When they do these salute to veteran ones for the NFL, some of the team's colors don't mesh. But to me, this army green with the blue outline on the lion just pops. I'm like, this. I love this hat, man. Listen. For new listeners who maybe aren't familiar, didn't tune into you last year, give us a general idea of what, like, your rank and your duty. What did a normal deployment look like for you?
Yeah, so I started out in 2001 September, and I enlisted in the Army as an infantryman, and I did 9 years as an enlisted guy, which is like a private, a sergeant major. They're the backbone of the Army. They're the ones that do the things. There's where the rubber meets the road. And then about year 9, I said, man, I've got a college degree. I'm qualified to be an officer. So I went to officer candidate school there in the U.S. Army, and I was branched a field artillery officer. And so I started out as a field artillery officer, and I was a lieutenant, like an old lieutenant. They call them Mustang officers. And I was a little bit more popular than the other guys because I started at the very lowest level, and now I was an officer. I understood the men, I understood the NCOs, and had a very, very successful early career as an officer. And then about 2020, I became a major. So I went lieutenant to captain to major, which is a field grade officer, a senior officer. And that was when the world of, really Army X's and O's, detailed strategic thinking and planning. And I was doing that. I taught that stuff to young lieutenants for a while. And then I became an operations officer at the brigade and the division level. In my last, when we talked last year, I was the chief of operations for that Combat Aviation Brigade. But after we had that talk, I was moved over to the 101st Airborne Division, where I was the senior operations manager for the division. So the Screaming Eagle Division, which is, we're going to talk about those uniforms for Army.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be beautiful. And that was the unit that I was in. And that's where I retired out of. Had a conversation with my lovely wife, Melissa, over a Christmas break. And she's like, I'm ready for you to be done. And I said, well, I've been thinking that too. So
great minds think alike.
Yeah,
man,
yeah. So I dropped that paper, and now I'm out of it. Don't regret a single second. 6 deployments, not including the craziest one, supporting the people of New Orleans, Louisiana in 2005 after Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah, man.
But been a lot of places, seen a lot of stuff, a lot of interesting times. And so here I am.
Yeah, we got an old photo of that going right here, but let me show you this one. There you go.
Oh, yep. That was young Corporal Frost in 2002 in Afghanistan, right before we got a photo before we loaded the helicopters to go do Operation Anaconda 2, which if you
they were filming the movie over there?
No.
Wait a minute, you got to be an Anaconda too.
Yeah. Not the snake, man. The mountain. The mountain.
Right.
Yeah. We did have a National Geographic, a crusty old English guy with like freaking leather skin because he smoked 3 packs of Pall Malls a day. Then he had a camera. Man. He followed us around with the camera, and then he disappeared one day. I never saw that guy again. Maybe he fell in a ravine. Maybe he got kidnapped. Don't know, but he just left us.
Yeah,
so there was a camera there.
Was he one of them dudes that talked like from one of the old cartoons, like he was one of those types, and you're like, what the fuck is he saying, man?
You gentlemen of ill report.
Yeah. Yeah, like smoking on a cigarette, boss.
What are you doing? Are you a jerk? Like, didn't talk to anybody, just walks around with the camera. Yeah, whatever. Nat Geo is crazy.
All right, well, so you retire. A little clip here from the ceremony there. You got the whole family with you there?
Yep, that's it. So to my left, you're right, looking at the camera, that's my my in-laws, and then my 3 young boys are in front of my wife, and then the other side are my older children and my parents.
Well, I tell you what,
I have 6 of them, man.
Congratulations, man. You got 6 what?
Children.
You have 6 kids? I thought you were at 4. You had 6 now?
Mikey, did you look at the picture?
I don't know let's take another look. I don't know whose cousins or I don't know what's going on.
So there's only 1 kid in there. So that's my brother Joe on the far left there, and that's his son Anders in front of him in the green shirt. But all the other children
are yours.
Are my spawn.
Oh my goodness gracious. Now that I look at the picture, I see it. Now I can see it.
But it's going to be I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a big day for me on the 20th when the Ohio State Buckeyes host the Tennessee Volunteers, because both my oldest children are currently at the University of Tennessee. One's a senior and one's a freshman. So I've been ingrained in that SEC life. My daughter came home to visit on Thanksgiving wearing an SEC is life shirt. This girl sat in U of M Stadium with me tens of times watching Michigan football. And now I got to watch what's going on in the SEC very closely.
You got to pay attention. You got to pay attention now, man. You got to pay attention.
Always better take that game.
A regular of the show, friend of the show who helps with all the graphics and things like that, Dunbar, who comes on all the time. He's diehard Tennessee fan. He every time he's on the show, he starts up. I'm like, all right. I'm
not going to lie. It's infectious.
Yeah. Infectious. Well, at least it's Tennessee, and it's not
when they bust into Rocky Top.
Yeah. I was down there, like that's right around Nashville, right?
Yeah. Oh no, yeah. Vanderbilt's in Nashville. It's just
Vanderbilt.
Down the road, about an hour and a half in Knoxville.
Sorry, I was down in Knoxville doing some gigs a few years ago, and just took a day to go over and tour the stadium and stuff and check it all out. And I was like, I had no idea why somebody like Peyton Manning would choose that. I always wondered, like, this is Tennessee. Why would you go?
Tennessee.
And then I was around there, and I was like, I get it. Yeah, it was great. I get it. So you're enjoying retirement now, and this is the current look. There it is.
Yeah, that was the dude abides. That's it, right?
Was that like fresh after like the first week?
That was so. Yeah, so I retired June 30th, but I had taken what's called retirement leave, where they let you go get yourself situated. It was about 120 days. And I didn't shave or cut my hair that entire 120 days.
Oh, so, buddy.
Yeah. There it is.
Oh, man. Yeah, there it is, man. Well, you looked great. You look like you were enjoying the hell out of retirement, buddy. And I thank you for your service, a full military service retirement. I mean, that's I enlisted, did 8 years and left. I mean, you did the whole career, man. Thank you.
Thank you for giving me a reason, Mikey.
Oh, well, I try to do what I can to inspire others, Rob, but sometimes selflessness is upon other people like you to take up arms. And now listen, we're going to get into the Army Navy game for sure. That's right where we're going to start when we move into quick hits, because we're going to start there, we're going to finish there. But also, I just wanted to, now the Army Navy game is supposed to be standalone for the weekend, and I had to bring this up to you. There is another bowl game on that day, and it is like F you guys. It is the IS4S Salute to Veterans Bowl. I think it's South Alabama and Western Michigan or something like that are playing in this thing. Listen, I'm reading this thing and I'm like, IS4 ISIS. Does this say the ISIS Salute to Veterans Bowl?
It's a salute to ISIS.
Yeah, it looks like, you look at this thing on your app on ESPN or something, it looks like it says the ISIS Salute to Veterans Bowl will be on right after Army and Navy. And I'm like, well, fuck you guys. Don't be on today. What is this shit, man?
You know what? If it was real, if it was ISIS Salute to Veterans, I would laugh, because that would be like that would be such a troll job for whoever ran that bowl.
Oh my God. They'd have all the guys that practice on the monkey bars and shit, like the old videos. Have the guys on the jungle gym training and shit.
IS4S.
You see
I don't know what that is.
I know, it looks like it says ISIS Salute to Veterans, and this is coming on after Army Navy. I'll not be watching that. I'll not be watching that game, and we will not be discussing nor picking.
Hey. IS4S is even worse than ISIS, man. ISIS at least had a mission and had a purpose, and they believed in. IS4S is the Integrated Solutions for Systems, a dynamic engineering and management company supporting hundreds of government and commercial customers across the globe.
They're trying to get a drone contract.
They're trying to get a contract.
That's what these guys are trying to do.
Hey, we'll throw a bowl game for you guys, and we'll call it Salute to Veterans if you give us a contract. You can run all the Army Navy commercials you want. That's the deal, man.
That's what they did too. And then somebody called them up and went, "Hey, assholes, you scheduled it for right after Army Navy? No, thank you."
Yeah, you're talking to the guy that allowed it.
Yeah, right. It's ridiculous, man. Ridiculous. All right, let's jump into some quick hits, buddy. All right, now listen, the Army Navy, we're going to start this thing right where we're going to finish it, and we're going to get into the one thing everybody loves about this game, and it is the badass fucking uniforms every single time. So let's start with Navy. I'll talk about the Navy uniforms a little bit, and then I'll throw the Army to you. Navy will be wearing uniforms honoring the Strike Fighter Squadron 103, also known as the Jolly Rogers. Jolly Rogers. Now, these uniforms are badass. Check this out here. Now, you listen, if you're just listening, you want to get to YouTube and check these out. Look at the skull and crossbones. These uniforms are pretty sweet. Navy's got a good look this year. These are badass, man. They got the skull and crossbones on the gloves and the helmet. And these are some badass uniforms for Navy this year. Now, I don't know if you can give us a little information on that, the Squadron 103 to Jolly Rogers. I don't know a lot about them. I just know I've heard of Jolly Roger.
So, that VFW Naval Aviation Fighter Interceptor Squadron is where they became famous, was one of the biggest examples of military heraldry and symbolism attracting highly talented pilots and crew members. So the Jolly Rogers made their fame during the Cold War when we fielded the F-14 Tomcat, which is the plane that was Top Gun, right? Maverick flew the F-14 in Top Gun. And then he flew the old F-14 in Top Gun Maverick when he shot down those Russian stealth fighters. And so the Jolly Rogers had on their tail paint scheme that skull and crossbones. They had these yellow stripes, and they would put the pictures of the Jolly Rogers, which they were off of an aircraft carrier, and they intercepted Russian bombers. That was their mission, right? But the cool paint scheme they had like a huge influx of people going to Naval Aviators School and requesting to go to that unit. Why? Because the planes look badass. They look badass. But I'm not gonna lie. You're supposed to hate Navy and you're supposed to hate Air Force a little bit less when you're Army, but those uniforms are clean.
Oh, they're badass.
Those are
We're going to show the video again really quickly right now because Andy St. Clair is in the house.
What's
up? Right
up?
on time.
Andy?
Rusty, how are you? How are
What's up,
you?
buddy? Good to see you.
I'm good. I'm good, man. I'm good. Good to see you.
Have you seen these Navy uniforms, Andy? Check these out, man. Look at these. Oh, these Jolly Rogers are badass, man.
Are they wearing those this year?
Oh yeah, these are
Those are dope. Those are dope.
Oh my God, these are fire this year. Navy's uniforms are looking badass. Now, Rob, I'm gonna throw it to you.
Them.
What's that?
It won't help them.
No, well, we'll see. We'll see. Now, walk us through what Army's gonna wear before I show the video. The Army video.
Yeah, so the Army has been doing this in the last few years. Started maybe almost a decade ago, if I can remember correctly. But they started, once the demand for alternate uniforms for this game started being a thing they just do every year. They had to decide on, just like Air or Navy is with their Jolly Rogers theme, they're going to pick a unit, a storied unit in the Army, and they're going to theme a uniform with Nike after that unit. And so this year, it's the unit that I was in for 7-8 years in my 23 years in the Army, 101st Airborne Division. 101st Airborne Division, just like I told you with the Jolly Rogers, probably has the single coolest symbol unit patch of any division in the Army. And so the 101st Airborne Division used to be an airborne division with the 82nd Airborne Division jump out of planes with parachutes, made their fame in World War II, jumping into Normandy with the 82nd.
Yeah.
Battle of Bastogne, General Ridgway saying nuts when the Germans asked them to surrender. They were surrounded in Bastogne in the Battle of the Bulge, and they're no food, sitting in their frozen foxholes. You watch the show Band of Brothers, it's about that. And he's like, hey, German request your surrender, sir. And he's like, give him this response, nuts. And they're like, that's awesome. Don't know what it means, but that's freaking awesome. Yeah. And so since then, the 101st and the 82nd are the elite conventional infantry divisions in the Army. And so you can't go wrong with red. Same as Navy, which is kind of interesting this time because the colors 101st are red or gold, black, gold, and white with the Screaming Eagle patch.
All right, here's what they're looking like here. I got the Army on the back. I always love when they do that, man. A team name on the back. I love that. Now they got the snowfall on the shoulders, the club on the helmet. You know what I mean? Now, and there you go, right there, Bastogne.
Yep. So the snow so the Bastogne theme is that famous battle themed on top of the unit, right? So the snow is the snow during the Battle of the Bulge, happened during the winter. That club symbol is another symbology aspect that makes 101st famous because depending on which brigade you are in the division, you wear a different, card symbol on your helmet.
Okay.
So the unit that I was in when I was, I was in 1st Brigade, our symbol was the heart. Currahee Brigade symbol was the spade. Bastogne Brigade is the club. And so every soldier in that unit back in World War II had it painted on their helmet. Now they wear patches on their helmet, just like they did back in World War II. So you can see a soldier in the middle of the woods and see that symbol on their helmet. You know what unit they're in. That's the purpose of it. But it's those card symbols. So when I saw that club, that's top level theming of a uniform because most people are like, what is that?
Yeah.
People that watch Band of Brothers and stuff, they go, oh yeah, I saw that.
That's really cool. I didn't tie together the snowfall, but when you're telling the story, and now they got the snowfall on the shoulders and stuff, cool ass uniforms, man.
Both sides, man. Hardcore though, man.
Oh my God, yeah.
Your watchers and you all, of course, if you read the book Band of Brothers, it's an easy read. It was a glorious, successful battle for us, but those dudes suffered hardcore in the middle of winter.
Yeah.
Not enough clothes, light infantry, and they still won. So they're hard asses.
Yeah, hard asses, man. Hard asses. Well, that's what we're starting the show was with those uniforms because we'll be finishing the show discussing this game. But right now I want to get to another team that you love that I know will bring joy to your heart. All right, now you've been Michigan season ticket holder for how many years now? Here's a picture of you there at the stadium there, right? How many years you been season ticket holder there?
I've been a season ticket holder for 15 years, got them from my father, who's been a season ticket holder since 92. So
Okay.
I've been sitting in those seats since 1992.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you still have them and you ain't giving them up. And I know this brought joy to your heart this year. I know that brought joy to your heart right there. Little 13-0 Michigan over Ohio State there, everybody listening. Were you watching it?
Yeah, I've never had more fun at noon on a Saturday, drinking at noon on a Saturday, watching a football game in my life than a 6-5 Michigan team with no offense beating Ohio State 13-10 in probably the greatest narrative storyline game and the worst actual football game I've ever seen. I mean, it was like if Tyson fought Spinks back in '89, but Tyson was drunk,
right?
And Spinks was on meth,
right?
And had one hand tied behind his back and still won.
Yeah, man.
Round.
It was, dude. And the narrative too of the whole, you guys have been cheaters. Now what's going to happen? And they thought they're going to get the big win on a rebuilding team and then be able to claim, yeah, cheaters. No, got beat.
And then I thought we talked about the Vols, my kids soon to be alma mater, playing them in the first round of the playoffs. And I was thinking that maybe Tennessee ironically could end Day's career.
Buddy, that's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to go right to this next picture. You're reading my mind. I was going to say, and then let's talk about this guy, Ryan Day right here. Let's talk about, hold on a minute. Wait a minute. That's not Ryan Day. That's Cooper. That's
Cooper's
Cooper.
got a better beard. He's got a better beard.
Hold up that one finger. What's that one? Oh, that's for the one game he won in 10 years against Michigan.
All right.
Ryan Day is going to get fired if he loses to Tennessee, right?
No. Did you see the news today?
No.
The news, I think it was USA Today. They talked to the AD. The AD's like, I'm not firing Ryan Day. Ryan Day is going to be here. And they said, we're going to de-emphasize the Michigan game.
Okay, well, he just lost his job too. Andy, you think that's all bullshit, right? I mean, that guy, he just cut his throat with that statement. And Ryan Day is on hot seat, right, Andy?
What's your next
hot seat? But I think he's going to be there too. I think he's going to survive another year. And then when they fail again,
I hope so.
Yeah, he's going to go. But I actually don't think Ohio State's going to fail, though, in the college football playoff. I do kind of think like they're going to come alive here. But we'll see. We'll see. Now, let me just say,
path, though.
Let me just say I'm also rooting for that since I have a future on Ohio State.
So wow.
My rose-colored glasses are like, I hope they do.
Yeah, I know.
I don't even like Ohio State. I'm just like, I couldn't pass it up at like 6-1. I'm like, yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah. There's logic there. There's always logic with Ohio State.
Yeah, when you saw the brackets, who was the first team you looked at that you went, maybe this lines up for them? I'll tell you, for me, it was Notre Dame. It's Notre Dame. Exactly. They have a winnable first game, and then they're going to play Georgia without Carson Beck, and Georgia hasn't been that great. They could get to the semis pretty simply, I think. I don't know. For me, it was Notre Dame. Frosty, you got a different one you liked or what?
No. Unfortunately, I saw it the exact same way. I just see it a little bit differently in the sense that it's where Notre Dame is as a program at this point in the season. So they don't have conference championship. Obviously, they'll be rested. That's a double-edged sword, but usually works out more for the rested than it does for a letdown, right? So Notre Dame's been preparing this whole time, and they're playing their best football at the end of the season, which everyone always says, especially in the NFL, doesn't matter who's got the best record. It's who's playing the best football against that one team, win in advance, right? Throw the records out. Notre Dame is on that path right now. And if you look at the bracket, if things happen a certain way, their strength of matchup from fit round to round and how they're playing as a football team, it lines up pretty well.
Andy, you were saying that you kind of like Texas route, right?
I like Texas, and I mean Penn State obviously to me is a good choice too. But Texas, Texas has Clemson at home. They're like a 12-point favorite. Like, okay, I'll take Texas. And then they have Arizona State somewhere. It could be like the Fiesta Bowl. Like, look, Arizona State's good, and maybe they just blitz them offensively. But I wouldn't want to get into a shootout with Texas either. No. So then you got Texas has to go to plays Oregon. That'd be a shootout. And then maybe they play Georgia again in the finals. I don't know. Or Notre Dame. Like, I just think the Texas has a nice little.
They do.
The committee's got to work on the
There's
bracket
logic
a little bit. They got like the
Automatic,
the one seed is kind of rough, right? Like Oregon's got to play Ohio State. Look, that's tough, man. That's tough. So they got to work on the bracket a little bit.
It's tough to beat somebody twice.
Yeah, and
Almost
maybe
every
just
sport.
rank the top 4 teams and then give them the bye, and then who cares about conference champions? I don't know what it is.
So you're right.
Something.
That's it.
Because
Get rid of the automatic
right
bid.
now, once Boise jumped in there, and then Arizona State, there's 4 teams better than both those teams. But whatever, it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm on the other side of just the conference champion thing, because that was the one thing that I used to really like about old school college football was you had conference champions that played for national titles. And then when it started getting expanded, and then you had Nick Saban, I think he won 2 national championships where he didn't even win his own division within the SEC. You didn't even go to the SEC championship game and you're the national champ. You didn't even win your own division. This doesn't sit right with
That
me.
happens all the time in sports.
Now it does. But in college football, it never did. And I love that purity of it. You know what I mean? But, it is what it is. It's going to change, man.
We're at the we're in the post-purity era. NIL, it completely decimated that. What you said, I obviously agree with. We grew up in an era of football where it was common understanding between the people in the game and the people watching the game and the fans that if you said, hey, conference champions should have the inside track to national championships. Conferences mean things. We are post all of that.
Yeah, they're too big now.
And Andy is correct. The playoff committee in their bylaws, I read this article the other day, they can change anything during any offseason anytime.
It's ridiculous.
Which makes it easier for them to capture the 3 to 4 top, change requests by the media, and then the common feeling of the everyday fan. We will not have automatic qualifiers next week. You can take that to the bank. They should put that on the books.
The SEC is fed up. The SEC is fed up this year. And Andy, you and I have talked about this because they're like, no, we have better teams than all these teams, and they're not in the playoff because we have 3 losses. My response to that, which I've talked with Andy, my response to that is self-inflicted wounds, SEC. You went out and acquired everybody else's best teams, and now you want to cry we're eating ourselves from within while you cash the checks? Too fucking bad.
The Bama AD said publicly this last week that they're going to relook scheduling going forward. You're going to start having – this might sound sacrilegious now, but I think it's you might have folks opting out of conference championship games.
That's ridiculous.
The crazy thing about that Alabama AD, though, he was like, we're going to change our – but their losses all came in SEC. It wasn't like they lost in the week 2. They didn't lose to Texas. They lost to Vandy, not South Carolina, Vandy. No, I don't remember Vandy, Oklahoma, and somebody. Right?
It was Vandy. They got housed by Oklahoma.
Yeah, Vandy.
Which is probably the reason they're not in the playoffs. If you're honest,
for sure.
You can't go to Oklahoma, middling, coach on the hot seat, Oklahoma team in their first year in the SEC, and get trucked like that, and then expect to make the playoffs.
Right?
No.
Yeah, they take. It's saying take the check, take the losses. And that's what SEC did. Take the check, you take the losses, man.
Listen, I think we ought to just go where I've said this thing was going for 5 years now, Andy. You've heard me, and we're almost there, and this is just what it should be. Let the SEC and the Big Ten acquire the last couple of good teams left from the ACC and the Big 12, and between those 2 conferences, it's SEC versus Big Ten, and just do it like the NFL, AFC, NFC. Both sides have their own playoff, and the winner of those playoffs, the Big Ten champ from the playoff and the SEC champ from the playoff, just play each other for the national title. And all the other conferences that are not involved in that, they have their own national championship. Just have their own national championship like the FCS has. You know what I mean? Like, you have your own championship. This is the college Super Bowl, and then you got conference champs, you got a Super Bowl, you got your expanded playoff, you got the whole damn thing, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just makes sense.
It's unfortunate. The SEC, there probably are better teams. Like South Carolina is better. Alabama. There are teams that are better than the playoffs, but I guess it's just how it works. Like you can't. It's not the SEC Invitational, right? You're going to get 3 or 4 teams, and that's just the deal.
That's
so
the deal.
everybody's got to I tell you, it's a great way to do it. Alabama is like, don't lose to Vandy or don't lose to Oklahoma. If those things don't happen, you're in.
Right. We're back to the old statement of, well, that's why we play the games, guys. You're sitting here telling me, well, Alabama and South Carolina are better on paper. We've got more 5-stars and we're better on paper. You didn't win your games. That's why they play the games.
Right.
I don't know.
Not to mention the worst case scenario happened to Alabama in that SMU Clemson game. It was absolutely the worst case scenario.
Worst case.
If Clemson beats them by 20, it's not a contest, right? But Clemson beating them with a 55-yard field goal with no time left after having a big lead if you wrote down this can't happen for Alabama, that's exactly what happened. I gotta tell you, I was happy. Not that I want two ACCs. I was just more of like, Bama can't just sneak in here. Like, because if they did, I was gonna bet a bunch of money on them. I was gonna bet them to win the national title.
You're gonna lose some money on them.
I was gonna lose a bunch. Like, so I'm thrilled that they're out.
Also, a little bit of fun to see the death penalty over. SMU in the playoff. How about that, guy? All right, guys, let's jump to a topic that is eating up sports right now as we move into my favorite segment.
All right, everyone, time to do me a favor and knock it off.
Knock it off with these salaries. My man, Juan Soto, 700. Look at Yankees versus the Mets right there in the picture here for the audio listeners here. Money raining down upon Soto. Now, Soto signs the contract for $750 million, guys. And let me just tell you, for 15 years, that's $50 million a year for a guy whose career average is 285, 28 home runs, and 84 RBIs. $750 million for this guy.
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing? What baseball? Come on, man.
Isn't valuation funny?
Yeah, how so? What do you mean?
So value, right?
Oh,
value propositions in sports, right? So you have value propositions and then arms races, right? And in those different, so value propositions, how many times have you seen A-Rod, any contract in professional sports get released by the media, especially if it is the highest ever or a highest ever by position? There's a side of the consumer that is lauding that, saying, hey, that's exactly, he's going to get his paper. That's what he deserves. And then there's everybody else that's like, this is insane. It's really just one guy's decision, that one guy's valuation of that player's ability, talent, need to hold on to the player, whatever the other factors went into it.
That's silly.
And then they, most of the time, don't live up to the value proposition that you thought they were going off of. But maybe they did. You never know.
Andy, what's your take on this whole $750 million? I can see it for Shohei. He puts out. My man hits 50 home runs. He's going to come back and pitch for you. He's going to, okay. But Soto?
Right. I mean, Soto can hit. The one thing I noticed about Soto in the last couple months is like, he doesn't look like he plays very good defense. The real issue is like, your contract's going to be fine for 5 or 10 years. It's the last 5 to 7 years. But that thing's going to be just an albatross.
Oh,
right. Like,
yeah. And you know why? And you know why it's going to be a real albatross? Because if you believe Juan Soto's 26 years old, I've got some swampland in Florida I'd like to sell you. But then you also believe that Pujols was 18 when the Cardinals brought him up. My ass. This guy's pushing 30 already. He's hitting 28 home runs. And then somebody said to me the other day, don't give me that 28 home run average. He hit 42 home runs this year. Oh, did the Yankees go out and get a left-handed hitter that hits 28 home runs a year and then stick him in the park where it's 298 little league in right field and he hit 40 home runs? How many times have we seen that? They get a lefty and the guy hits 20 more home runs because it ain't even 300 feet. When I played grade school baseball, the fence was 300 feet, man. I don't know, man. This is too much money for Juan Soto. And the Mets are going to be the Mets.
But, the other thing is, too, is like, that's the way sports are going. Like, get your eyeballs on some of these NBA contracts coming up, right? These dudes are making like $60 million a year. So you take 60, right? 60 million, like, let's just use Dame Lillard. I have no idea what his salary is, but say he's a free agent and still youngish, right? He would probably get 60 million a year. He'd sign a contract for 8 to 10 years. That's 600 million. Soto might be a deal at 750 for 15, ultimately.
Well, you know how they pulled it off. The Mets brought in Les Grossman to negotiate this whole thing. I don't know if you guys seen that video that leaked of the negotiations there. Oh, check it out. Yeah.
Les Grossman.
We not get money yet.
Price now 800 million. You pay now or Soto is a Met.
Great. Let me get this down. 800 million. Oh, wait. I got a better idea. Instead of 800 million, how about I send you a hobo's dick cheese? Then you do your thing, fucking bastard. Go to town, man. Go to town.
No.
In the meantime, and as usual, go fuck yourself.
No.
We don't negotiate
Against the Mets.
Wow.
The Yankees will not negotiate against the Mets. They had Les Grossman take care of it. He told them, fuck off. We're not going 800 million. We're not doing it.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the best in the biz.
Yeah.
It's 760. It's 765, by the way.
Yeah.
So it was 765. I think you said 700. That's 65 short.
Yeah, it's 750. I thought, but yeah, 765.
Listen, well,
yeah,
hey,
they called
listen.
you know.
End of conversation. Bronny gets 8. Bronny gets
Oh.
8 million.
Yeah.
Right.
No, well, he didn't need it. He don't even fucking need it. He should just play for free. I
think there's
Come on,
probably
man.
25 in his trust fund.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
All right, everyone. Time to do me a favor and knock it off.
All right, speaking of the NBA, Andy, you brought it up, and we got the NBA Cup. The NBA Cup is getting moving here, and I'm just going to save us some time, guys, and say, who fucking cares?
All right, everyone. Time to do me a favor and knock it off.
We don't even need to waste any time on that. The stupidest gimmick in sports. Am I wrong?
I mean, I like the NBA, and I'm like, I mean, it's frustrating. I'm frustrated by it.
It's the dumbest. Like, disagree with me or don't on that. This is the dumbest shit. You took something from Euro soccer and you act as if the fans give a shit. And now what? We got the Atlanta Hawks in it this year. I'm fired up for that. Like, who gives a shit about I don't know. I just think it's completely stupid.
I'm with you.
And that they're going to do banners and stuff. No, let's move on to something we could really waste our time here. Let's talk about Bill Belichick, guys. Bill Belichick taking the job at UNC. Look, he's going to be the head coach at North Carolina. I do think it is appropriate that the initials there are UNC. We got Unk taking the job. Unk is taking the job at UNC. Andy, what do you think about this, man? Did you see this coming or what?
I assumed Belichick, was not going to get an NFL job, right? He'd probably had already done that. He'd already done that research. So I'm excited for it. I want to see it. I don't think he's going to last the entire 5 years. There's those good rumors that he's setting up his son, Steve Belichick, who's the defensive coordinator at Washington, to take over a spot when he's done. Sure, whatever. Bronny got a job.
I don't care about that.
So don't care. I'm excited. I love what he you heard the thing on McAfee where he's like, it's an NFL pro style. Like he's just basically talking about Alabama. Like this shit is done all the time. Like he's acting like he's inventing a brand new company. I'm like, dude, Saban did that for 20 years, 15 years at Alabama. So I assume he's talked to everybody and got all that stuff and that information. And I would be shocked if he makes it all 5, to be honest. I'm excited for it. I can't wait for Belichick versus Dabo, just because I want to watch Belichick wipe the floor with Dabo.
You probably, that's gonna be fun.
Like Belichick, here's the thing. Belichick would go crazy. This is what I've been thinking about. Belichick would go crazy when the greatest quarterback of all time made a mistake. Now you're telling me he's going to coach some 18-year-old dum-dum from some small town in North Carolina. He's not going to just lose his mind on this kid.
He may.
He may.
But you know what? The difference is going to be is now that 18-year-old dum-dum from some town in North Carolina is getting paid $15 million to be the quarterback at UNC. So shut up and listen to it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that like I'm some kind of old head that's mad at the kids for getting money. I'm not. I'm all for the kids getting their money. The NCAA did it wrong, but I'll never get on the kids for taking this money and doing the money. But understand that's what comes with it. You are now making $15 million. You ain't going to be a victim and a student athlete anymore. Yeah. You're going to get treated like a $1 million athlete. Now, let me ask you this, and I'll throw it to you, Rob. Do you think that we're going to see a lot more coaches that you would have never thought going back to college now because the money is there. And I'll draw an equivalent to like when the whole entertainment industry kind of flipped and everybody went from movies back to TV and streaming and TV shows because that's where the money was. Are we going to see that happening in football now? Rob, do you think that's going to be the case? Yeah.
I think probably more not than so. And here's what I think. And the Belichick experiment they're doing in North Carolina, I think it's just a continuation of the business plan that was in place when Mac Brown was hired, right? You bring in a legendary coach in their late 60s, early 70s, right? That's had tons of success, maybe even coached there before, not this case with Belichick. But with Belichick, I'm glad Andy brought up Nick Saban, because the type of coach that Belichick is, chewing Tom Brady's ass out late with his time with the Patriots, hard-nosed, old school, disciplinarian, rigid, disciplined coaching, that structure left Bill Belichick behind in the Patriots, and the proof is in the record, right? You are what your record says you are. And so he's ran out of the Pats. He's jobless. He gets a girlfriend from North Carolina, 26 years old or something like that. He's got a bunch of ties. The son, all of those things that you said with his son might also be true. But the bottom line is, when Nick Saban went to Miami, his style of coaching which brought him success at LSU and Michigan State did not convert to success in the NFL. Same thing happened with Urban Meyer. But that type of coaching does work in college. If Bill Belichick, at 72, I believe, years old, if he still has the fire in his belly, that coaching style will in college, right? Because they're kids.
Yeah, it will.
If he doesn't have to recruit really hard, which I would just, I'd beef up a general manager and a recruiting staff and say, hey, just tell me when I need to walk into the living room wearing my 6 rings.
Well, that's part of his deal. That's part of his deal, is that the money will be handled by somebody else and I coach the team. Yeah.
If that works on 5-star kids and his coaching methodologies remain peak Belichick, which will work more now with the kids than it does with the pros, I think they can get what they wanted to get at North Carolina when they hired Mac Brown, which is the legendary coach effect and a rebirth of the brand.
They may.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll say this. I think, and then Andy, jump in and tell me if you disagree or don't on this. There are kids that are big 5-star, 4-star players that would love to go and play for a coach like Belichick at UNC, because they're not limelight kids. They're not the kids that want to go play for Dion. They have the talent and the ability, but they don't want to be on Instagram every day. Not everybody wants to be a TV star. You know what I mean? Like, some guys just want to fucking play football and be left alone. And I think he's already made it clear, like, this is not going to be the school for what's going on in Boulder. You're not coming here to have your Instagram show and we're going to have rappers and actors on the sideline and it's going to be a big sideshow. He already said it. You're going to come here to get prepped to play for the NFL. You know what I mean? And he's basically saying you're going to come here to get coached up, because anybody who thinks Deion Sanders has done a great job of coaching in Boulder, Colorado the last couple of years, you don't really know football. He's done a great job of acquiring the best players and putting them out there to be competitive. He ain't coaching nobody up. That's
he also, like, if you're like a 4 or 5-star recruit and you're like, I can't decide between Clemson, Miami, and North Carolina, like, do I want to play for Dabo and Clemson, who's been bad and won't go transfer portal? Do I want to play for that kind of garbage Miami coach who every year just boneheads like 2 or 3 games?
Cristobal.
Or do I want to go? Do I want to Cristobal? Yeah, Cristobal. Or do I want to go to play for Belichick for possibly 2 or 3 years? Like, I don't see how kids don't go play for Belichick.
Yes,
I heard a great story. I should tell you this on the radio. I was driving home with my kid, and a guy was talking about. He had talked to Matt Rule before Matt Rule went to Nebraska, and Rule was like, I don't want to play. I don't want to coach. Just took the meeting. He tells the guy, this radio guy. And so then he goes back 2 days later and and accepts the job. And he texts Rule, like, I thought you weren't taking the job. He's like, the tradition. And he texts him this long answer. And then he texts him one line, the last line, the guy in the radio says, this last line, it was the most important line of the whole text. And Rule told him, I just missed the whistle. And he's like, that is what Belichick does, right? He just missed the whistle, right? He could have been a coordinator. He could have been what Vrabel had done. He wanted to be a head coach. There was no opportunity in the NFL. This was a spot. It had a little history, and here we are. He missed the whistle, and now he's going to get it.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Frost, we take on that, buddy.
No.
Yeah, why did he do it? It has to be something along those lines. You know,
he's a coach. He's a coach.
Bobby Bowden, Joe Paterno. Joe Paterno died 2 days after he was pushed out at PSU after the scandal.
He died 2 days after he got exposed for having pedophile coaches in a locker room. That's what killed him. The guilt killed him.
I think Bobby Bowden lasted like a year or two. Like these people, you coach until Harbaugh said it in an interview last year. I'm going to probably coach until I die, or I can't coach anymore. It's like a Supreme Court justice. That's the way they see themselves. Yep. And you walk away at 70 something or 80 something when three of us are going to be thinking about, sitting on our porch for the rest of our days.
If I make it that long, buddy, I'll tell you what, man. But that's why he's
that way.
Yep. Right. No, that's exactly why he's doing it. He just wants to coach. All right. I have one more topic I want to get to you guys before we get to the Big 6 Picks here. But before we do that, we got to pay a quick bill here. Frosty, I know you remember we have Gordon Butterfield, minor league baseball Hall of Fame announcer on the show. He's on the ad for rustbelt.com. Take it away, Gordon.
What just happened?
What just happened is brought to you by the rustbeltclub.com. They make the most comfortable clothes you ever wore, and they're guaranteed to be the most conversational. Put on your Rust Belt gear, and people are guaranteed to get inquisitive. But that Tom Brady's joint, where can I grab them cakes? Who won that game? Oh, good morning, counselor. Is that a tooth beer or two? I know that guy. Ho, that's a haunted water park. Abracadabra. And that's the rustbeltclub.com. It's for folks with an inquired taste. It's always a game of chance on the giant water slide, but Janet Kopakowski's ready to see what turns up on the river. And take off. Oh, she's too stiff. That's a bad idea. Fusion surgery. Oh, my. Let's take another look and see where she destroys vertebrae C4 and 5 and 6 and 7. She's sky high and looks like she died 5 days ago. Rigor mortis. Oh, my. The bat's as red as a beet.
What just happened?
Gordon.
Spine fusion. I like that one. I always like when Gordon gets those. That one is a great one. It's one of my favorites.
Fusion surgery.
Fusion surgery.
As soon as she hits the water.
Gordon sounds like a guy I used to know in college.
Yeah.
If he went to college in the 40s, I tell you, he's an old bird, man. I'm gonna tell you that right now. All right, real quick, let's talk Heisman Trophy. Andy, I'll throw it to you first. Who do you think should win, and give us your quick case for it?
That's a good question. Who do I win? I'd say Janty or Hunter. Janty's not going to win. So Hunter's played both sides of the ball. He's been pretty good. Like, I don't think he's a horrible choice. So I found the Heisman this year to be kind of boring though. Yeah, just for me. But I think Hunter's a good choice. I think he's him or Janty. Either one of those guys are going to win. So it does. I think both are worthy of winning. So I'm good with either way.
All right, Rob, I got a feeling you think that this trophy should be heading to Army.
Just the team.
Just the team.
No, honestly, we'll talk about it, but Captain America should have been in. Captain America should have got invited. If he could throw for over 100 yards a game, he'd be in the conversation. Here's who I think will win it, Junty. Here's who I think would have won it if the Heisman was where it should be after the playoffs. Dylan Gabriel, because I feel strongly that Oregon's going to take this thing. But who is the dark horse that I think really was left out? Cam Scattaboo from Arizona State, running back. Good. Google him.
Yeah, no, we don't. Listen, buddy, we've been big on Arizona State for weeks.
Not the Heisman all name.
Yeah, He's got a Heisman name. We've been winning money on that cat for a couple of weeks. He's just a little too late to the party. You know what I mean? He got hot at the end of the year.
I hope he has a long. I hope he has a long career in the NFL because I want to hear.
He's fun to watch, man. He's fun to watch. Yeah.
Oh, man.
He's trouble. He is trouble. He just doesn't go down, man. How long can he last banging his head against that wall? I mean, we'll
takes
see.
His helmet off. Looks like a guy that spent a long time in juvie.
Yeah. Oh, he does. He looks like he just came right out of a trailer with his helmet in one hand and rode his bike with the cigarette. He looks just like them guys that used to dominate us in 8th grade who drove themselves to the game. That's what he looks like.
Yeah.
Got out of his car.
And then stopped growing in 8th grade.
Yeah. The rest of us are in 8th grade. Like, that guy fucking drove himself here, man. You know what I mean? He does look like that. I'll tell you, I agree with you, Andy. I think they're going to give it to Hunter. And I don't hate on that. I don't hate that. I don't think it's a bad choice. He's done a lot this year, but my pick would be Genty. Just looking at what he's done, he is number 1 in every single category and has a chance to break Barry Sanders. Now it's in more games, but way more games. But still, that is a record we all thought would never be broken. And he's number 1 in every single category. And I'll just draw a parallel to the Heisman year of Peyton Manning and this guy over here, Charles Woodson, right? Now, everybody's saying, oh, Hunter's just like Woodson. No. Listen, Hunter's like 15th or 14th in all the categories for wide receivers. I think he's like 18th in interceptions and stuff. He's done a lot and played a lot of reps. But just because Deion's the first coach to let a kid do that, I don't know that that's Heisman Trophy worthy. Like, that was the argument, like I was saying with these two guys, was if you took Peyton Manning off of Tennessee that year, they still lose 3 games and don't go to the SEC championship game. You take Charles Woodson off that Michigan team, they do not win the national title. They probably don't even win the Big Ten. So, I mean, if you put Travis Hunter on Boise State's team, they probably wouldn't be where they're at right now. But if you put Genty on Colorado, they probably would have been playing for the Big 12 championship. I just think Genty has a little better.
I don't know if I believe that, to be honest with you. I don't know. No. I mean, I get what you're saying. I think both guys are deserving, but like Genty is like, give Colorado Boise State schedule. I mean, it just like it's more about a schedule to me than the Boise State schedule is fair. Like who are they playing, right? They're playing like UNLV 2 times. Colorado would beat UNLV by 30. Just double it, right? They would pistol whip them. So I don't know. I get you. Both guys are great. I love both those guys. I think they're awesome. Yeah. I love Scadaboo too. Scadaboo's an awesome call. I think that's a great call.
Yeah, I like Scadaboo. I just think a lot is being made of the fact of how many reps he's played. And I'm like, listen, it's impressive. I'm not dogging the kid. It's impressive what he has done. But just because Deion's the first coach to let a guy do that, I don't think he's any kind of generational talent. There's been guys at Bama and Georgia and Champ Baileys of the world, if it wasn't reined in back then, could have done it way better than this guy. I just think like we're watching someone finally be allowed to do it. That's all.
Right. Well, the Heisman too is kind of like the NFL MVP award. It's not really a running back award. And it's not. It's kind of a quarterback award. And if it's not a quarterback award, you got to be doing something like what Hunter's doing, playing like both sides of the ball.
Yeah,
it's like I mean, whatever. I found this. I have to admit, this year Heisman, it was the most checked out I've ever been in a Heisman.
Yeah,
I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm like it's going to be Genty or Hunter, and I thought that like week 3, and I was like, yeah, okay, well, I'll see you later.
Yeah, I don't disagree. All right, fellas, let's take it on into the Big 6 picks. But before we get there, Frosty, you know what we're going to be enjoying this weekend, tailgating for all these games.
Brass monkey, that monkey, brass monkey, chunky.
Frosty,
I gotta say before we go, I probably have to sneak out a little. I gotta go. I gotta now pick up a bag or some boxes.
A bag.
Okay. All right,
I'm in the middle of moving my house, Frosty. I got to repack my house. We're having construction done here, and it's. I
heard the disaster story.
Jesus Christ! So I got it done. Hey, I sent you a photo, Mikey, of the tree. It looks pretty good.
All right, let's hope so. I hope you mounded it up a little, so when you put the water in, it stays up in there like a bowl, right?
I did the other bad thing with my tree is I made the branches aim toward my house, and I was like, "Fuck! Oh well." I'll just cut those branches down.
Just cut them down later, man. Make sure those construction guys water it, brother. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You got my picks.
I got
by the
you,
way,
man.
I just will tell you, I like Army. You know, I like Army, and I like the over. I like Army in the over. I think that I don't rarely like to. I know I'm jumping into this thing right now. I rarely like over in the service academy games, but this one I like the over. I just think the over is there. It's like
it's a new era.
I think Army's going to put it on them, and I think Navy's going to try to keep up. But I like our, so I'm gonna
really
ride
smart,
with
Andy.
I'm gonna ride with the Army. This is I have to say this because this is not an insult to the service academy teams. Normally I like the teams when they're like average to bad. I really like betting on them then when they're like 6-6. But these Army and Navy teams this year were like 9-3, 10-11-1, whatever, 10-2. And I did not enjoy. I bet against them so much this year, and I need them to go back to being 6-6. They're so much more fun when I can just be like, they're like a 17-point dog against somebody. And I'm like, yes, let's go Army. And then they just barely lose. I'm like, oh, so close. So this year they've been so good. They've taken my joy away from the service academy football teams. That's my one request for next year.
Yeah.
Get back to 6.
More value. We want more value out of their
I couldn't find any on Army. Army was like, they're like favored by 11. I'm like, I'm never betting on Army -11. I'm just not doing it. Then I would take the other team, right? Whoever they're playing. And then Army would beat them by like 23. And I'd be like, God damn it. All right. The next week would come. Exact same thing would happen.
Yeah.
And they'd be like 16.5. I'm like, there's no way. I'm never betting a 16-point favorite. Army win by 27. And so just that's my one request. Get Army. Let's get back to 6-6, baby. It's better for me betting wise.
We'll hope so, brother. We'll hope so, man.
All right,
brother.
Thank you.
Get to your thing. I got your other picks, brother.
I'll catch you on the other side. Happy holidays, Frosty. I'll see you soon.
All right, buddy.
You too, Andy.
Get your thing done. All right, let's do it. Let's jump into the Big Six Picks. It's brought to you by the official beer choice of the DWMOD podcast. That's Old English 800. Guys, enjoy. Go old school this weekend, Frosty. Get an Old English. Put some orange juice in there. Watch the game. See what kind of charge.
It's in the fridge right now, right next to my Mad Dog 2020.
Buddy, I haven't had a Mad Dog 2020 in a long time, but I do enjoy the Old English 800 on a regular basis. Hey, buddy, it's delicious, man. That's my beverage of choice. Okay, let's start with the NFL because we're going to finish with the Army and Navy game. So let's jump into the first game here. NFL action. We got Pitt, the Steelers, plus 5.5. They are at the Philadelphia Eagles. The over-under here is 41.5. Who do you like?
So Philadelphia and Steelers. Did not know this. Pittsburgh has not won in Philadelphia since when, do you think, Mikey?
Boy, I'm going to say probably either Cordell Stewart or Bubby Brister era. Like, I'm going to say like early 2000s.
Yeah, think like Y.A. Tittle.
No
60s.
way.
They haven't won in Philadelphia since the 60s, which I thought was, it's crazy, but it's true.
It's crazy.
So you've got Najee and Saquon. You've got Rain, highly likely. You've got a coach for Pittsburgh, Tomlin, who is known to game plan to shut down single players, right?
Yeah.
Who do you shut down? I guess you got to go with Saquon. So the defensive game plan for Pittsburgh is to shut Saquon down, make him one-dimensional. Philadelphia, too many weapons, best secondary in the league, arguably. Statistically, they are. The rain, the running back battle, 2 top 5 defenses. What are the incentives? Philadelphia's in a 1-seed fight with the Lions. Pittsburgh's trying to win their division. Incentives push, right? Running game, defense, rain. Taking the Eagles, but they don't cover and take the under. Damn it.
Okay, so you think Pittsburgh then with the points?
Yes.
Yeah, you say Eagles will not cover. So you'll be on Pittsburgh in the 5.5 and the under. All right, I'm going to tell you this. If you guys that listen to the show regularly, especially Wednesday nights, and we're handing out all our free picks, and for us, we have been red hot the last couple of weeks. Red hot. I mean, I keep touting. Like last week, we handed out 42 college picks, and I think we hit on 33 or 34 of them. Yeah, like we've been red hot. So there's a rule on the show here for me and Andy. You always bet Tomlin as a dog, never take him as a favorite. And this thing pays every single time. When Mike Tomlin is the favorite, the Steelers will not do it. When he's a dog, yes, please. Yes, please. Give me Pittsburgh plus the 5.5. And I'm going to take the over this week, though, because I think both these teams can score. Normally, this would be a game where I'd be like, nah, but Russell Wilson has got Pittsburgh scoring points and Philadelphia scoring points with the best of them right now. So I like your point about the secondary for Philadelphia. That's going to come into play big time in this game. But Andy has also sent me his picks, and he's going to be on Pittsburgh and the over as well. So you're Pittsburgh and under. We're Pittsburgh on over on both of those. Now, I will tell you, our biggest money makers this year that we've been handing out are college football money line dogs, right? We've been taking like underdogs to win outright. And I think I don't have the number in front of me right now, but we are like, I think 32 wins and 20 losses. We're 12 games above on picking money line dogs. That's great. But the biggest money maker we're handing out on this show, not to put any pressure on you, but I tell the guest picker this every week. The guest pickers on this show right now, through 14 weeks of picking 6 games every week, are plus 15 on the over-unders. Frosty, that's ridiculous. The guest pickers are plus 15. Let's hope you keep that going, buddy. That is cash money in somebody's pocket. All right, let's jump to this next one. Hey, you should. You put some time into it. I can see. The Packers, -3 at the Seattle Seahawks. Red hot Seahawks lately. 45.5 is the over-under here. And I'll tell you what, man, I'm taking the home team. I'm taking the Seahawks as a dog. I've been on the Seahawks the last couple of weeks. I think Geno's playing really good football. They believe in him. It's defense first out there. Run the ball a little bit. Geno keeps them in the game, keeps them winning. They're scoring points. Little does everybody know. I mean, the Lions did their thing against the Packers last week with all the injuries the Lions had. Packers are banged up themselves on the defensive side of the ball. Give me Seattle and the over. And Andy likes the exact opposite. He's taking Green Bay and the under. What do you like, boss?
Well, Andy and I mostly agree, but if you look statistically, Jordan Love doesn't travel. He plays his best football in Green Bay. They have a very similar home and away record. However, the offense isn't as is not nearly, especially the passing offense. Love isn't nearly as sharp, nearly as creative, or nearly as dynamic on the road. They're going from Green Bay to Seattle, Washington. Seattle is one of the harder places to play in the NFL. Fans are crazy. Just like in Green Bay and Philadelphia, they need to run the ball with Jacobs. They need to run the ball to beat Seattle with Jacobs. Are they confident? They're 2 games back from Detroit in the the mighty NFC North, right? They lose to Detroit, get swept. What's their confidence level? How much mojo does Green Bay have? I don't know. The D is good enough to win any game, even without Bullard. Bullard was out against Detroit. It cost them some problems late in the game with some key throws over the middle. Who knows? Seattle, 1-game lead, motivational pressure in a very average division that they're in right now. KW3, will he play? He's questionable. Without KW3, that's a hit on Geno because like any good quarterback rides a good running back. Geno is not prolific in the way where he can just drive that offense without that running game. So that's an issue. 9 players questionable on the roster. 9 players questionable on the roster for Seattle, including some starters. And then you got DK out. So this pick is dependent on 2 factors. Which is more impactful, flying out to the West Coast to play a tough first-place division team in their environment, or playing at home, desperate to hold on to a lead, potentially limping onto the field, Seattle. But Green Bay takes this game, and I take the over. I take the over because of the defensive injuries on Seattle.
All right, Green Bay and the over for you. All right, I'm gonna keep riding with the Seahawks, man. I'm gonna keep riding with the Seahawks. Let's jump to this next game, near and dear to both of our hearts. We cannot believe what's happening this year. Give me some of that right there. Bam, Kong. We've got NFL. We've got the NFL upside down as Detroit Lion fans, and I cannot believe it. It's a dream every day. It's the Bills. The Bills are coming into Detroit. Dogs plus 2.5. The Lions are red hot, man. 53.5 is the over under here. Now, let me tell you this. Oh, Andy jumping back in here.
Yeah, baby. I'm back. I'm in the car. I got to go get my kid, but I got to pick up some boxes. And I was like, I'm going to make this the most confusing podcast in town. And I'm jumping back in.
Oh, man. You're in and out like crazy. Well, here we just jumped on this Bills-Lions game. Why don't you take it? Bills plus 2.5 at the Lions. 53.5 is the over-under. Where are you landing?
Look, anything under 3, I'm taking the Lions. I think what we saw last week, which is no matter how much the Lions get up, the Bills are going to come back. Josh Allen's just kind of in one of those modes this year where he's just playing awesome. So, look, if it touches 3, I'm taking the Bills. But for this contest at 2.5, Lions, baby, Lions. And I want to take the over. I don't know why I wouldn't. This game, I would feel very nervous taking the under, but I'm gonna take the over.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. Listen, we got into it last week for us, me and Andy, and he's been trying to figure out when to get in front of that Lions train to watch it derail. When should be betting against them? And everybody thought it was last week with Green Bay, and nada. So listen, the miracle that they pulled off last week, I'm riding with the Lions until I'm not. At 2.5, I can't do it. At 2.5, I'm riding with the Lions. Give me the Lions and give me the over. Both these teams are going to score points for us.
Yeah. Yeah. I wait before you go. I just want to say we were both on the. I was on the Lions last week too.
Yeah.
It's not yet. It's coming though. We're going to turn on the Lions. Heel turn on the Lions is coming. Just not yet.
Yeah, week 17 when they said everybody because we're the first seed. Frosty, go.
Yeah, so totally comfortable with the Lions, especially with the line. I agree with you guys 100%. What would give me pause is not the line creep up. It's Josh Allen factor, right?
Yeah.
The Lions play Jordan Love. Jordan Love has a little bit of that mobility, creativity, can extend plays, can extend drive. Josh Allen has that A++, high 100 level on Madden, has that ability with a defense in Detroit that's just creeping back to having at least 5 starters that started the season back on the field. Can they control this? This is either a safe going with Lions at a minus 2.5. If they can't control Josh Allen, you're going to lose your money on that. That's when I'm going to be watching on Sunday. But I'm going to go Lions and take the under.
Lions and the under. Oh, he's going to keep it under. All right. Hey, well, listen, I'm excited as hell for this game because, Andy, you know this was my Super Bowl pick at the beginning of the year. I said, this is the year for the Bills. This is the year for the Lions, man. Bills, Lions, that's my Super Bowl. I'm excited to hell to watch this one. All right, let's jump over to college football, our picks in college football. We're going to start with the Cricket Celebration Bowl. It's the HBCU Championship. I'm a little dialed into this. I still pay attention to Grambling pretty closely, even though Nolan has transferred to University of Louisiana Monroe. This is Jackson State -1 versus South Carolina State. The over-under here is 54.5. Frosty, who you like?
First off, congratulations to Cricket Mobile. I mean, what a great company. Who would have thought so many people would get some Cricket Mobile for their mobile telemobile needs?
They're sponsoring bowls now, man. They're making money.
I mean, Cricket's made it. First, they started in strip malls all across the Deep South. Now they're hosting bowls. So the HBCU National Championship. 2 teams that were not favored to win their conference to start the season. Jackson State, also known as Dion's Leftovers, and SC State, right? I like SC State and the over because you've got a clash of, opposites. You've got a smash mouth, play great defense, Jackson State, and you've got a attacking, causing turnovers defense in South Carolina State, with a high-powered passing attack In this case, I would normally go with the running game and the great defense, but I think that they're going to overpower Jackson State, South Carolina State, and the over.
South Carolina State and the over. Andy, what do you like, buddy?
Unbelievable. You picked a game at HBCU. I love you. I normally am up on you, but this year I know nothing about you. So it didn't work out for me in the HBCU this year. So many games I know, but this is not one. So I had to do some research last night. I was just looking it up. The spread has moved to SC State. They're now the favorite. That just tells me the pros are betting SC State, and I'm just going to follow them. And I'm going to follow Frosty. I'm taking SC State, and I'm taking the over. Can't name you one player. Can't tell you anything about these guys. But I will watch the game now because now I'm very invested. So I'm going to go SC State.
All right, SC State and the under for you. All right, guys. I'm going to tell you this.
Over.
Oh, you're on the over. Oh,
over.
Okay. All right,
why not? If you're going to put it at 54.5, I'm taking the over.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be on the over as well in this one because both these teams score points, right? Like South Carolina State has been in the high 40s, if not 50, in the last bunch of games. If I'm not mistaken, South Carolina State was the team that knocked off Deion's Jackson State team on that drop touchdown. They always seem to be in the Celebration Bowl and find a way to win this game. I feel like they're the new age Eddie Robinson, Grambling, where like you don't want to play them. Even if they dumped a couple games during the season, you don't want to play them. They're going to come in and win this game. I'm on SC State and the over. I think this thing is an absolute shootout. Let's jump to the next game. Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl. Let's get on some of that Scooters Coffee, buddy. Number 25, Memphis is laying 3 to West Virginia. The over under 56.5. West Virginia just lost their coach. And so we'll see how these kids respond. Andy, I'll throw it to you first.
I'm going to make a rant, though, before. Here's my rant. The Army-Navy game should be the only football game on the goddamn schedule. I don't know if you guys talked about this. Maybe you did.
But we did, Andy. Do you know the name of the bowl game that is on after the Army-Navy game?
It's a salute to the troops. I couldn't believe it.
It's the ISIS Salute to Veterans Bowl. The name of this thing is
whatever.
IS4S.
I'm annoyed by it. I'm so annoyed by it.
Yeah,
I can't believe it. I'm like, look, the Army-Navy game, our whole life, has been the only goddamn game on this Saturday. They could move this Salute to the Troops game to Tuesday. Nobody gives a shit.
It's so stupid. I know.
I just wanted to get that. This is why I really called in. I wasn't sure you guys talked about it, and I wanted the bitch. I really wanted to bitch about it.
Listen, I'm all for it. Give me the HBCU National Championship game at noon, and then give me Army-Navy at 3. That's great. But the Salute to the Troops, no.
How about this?
The Salute to the Troops is at 3 o'clock.
Give me the HBCU Championship on Friday. What are we doing?
That'd be great.
Army-Navy, solo, Saturday.
Standalone, right? Both of them.
Here.
Yeah.
Come on. Anyway, okay. Memphis, baby. Memphis started out as a 3-point dog. Has moved to a 3-point favorite. Rich Rod back in West Virginia. It gives me a little pause, by the way. They hired Rich Rod back.
They did.
And it gives me a little pause because these kids might have to try hard in front of their coach, who's definitely going to be at the game. It's like you're going to try for your new girlfriend who's sitting in the stands. So that gives me a little pause, but not a big enough pause. Memphis, -3 in the over.
Yeah, I'm going to be in the exact same boat, except I'm going to be on the under in this one. I like Memphis. Listen, I told you guys 2 weeks ago Memphis was going to beat Tulane in that sleeper. They did it. Memphis has been a really good football team. Probably should have won that conference this year, but dumped a couple of dumb games. I think they lost to UTSA, and that killed them. But this is a good football team, deserves to be ranked 25. Not a lot of guys turn over in the portal here. I think they're all hanging out. West Virginia will have Rich Rod on the sideline, but as a Michigan fan myself, I know that that's absolutely the worst fucker you want on the sidelines at a Power 5 school. West Virginia down. I'm going with Memphis -3, and I'll take the under. What about you, Frosty?
This one is about as close to a layup as you get with these 6, and here's why. It's real simple. Memphis, roster intact, coaching staff intact, ranked, and primed. They have something to play for. West Virginia, Rich Rod. Little note on Rich Rod. I think it's the best hire so far of this coaching cycle. So you go all the way back to early 2000, when Witcherov was killing people with his newfangled spread offense in West Virginia, alumni of West Virginia. He is the perfect coach for West Virginia, not for Michigan, not for Arizona. Now, there's some personal things going on in Arizona, but he found his mojo. If you've watched Jacksonville State play this year in Conference USA, it reminds you of Pat White and those teams, except the guy's an actual tank, the opposite of Pat White. But it looks just like a Rich Rod T, and they play competent defense. So they could be auditioning for their new coach on the sideline, but it's not going to be enough. Go with Memphis, but I take the under because Memphis is off the gas halfway through the third quarter.
Okay, getting on the under there with Memphis. All right, man. I like it. Let's jump to the game of the week. The game of the week, Andy, I'll throw it to you first. It's number 22, Army, looking to go 12-1. They're -6.5 versus Navy. The over-under is 38.5. Andy, who do you like?
Look, I already bitched to you guys privately about my disdain for this Army football team.
Yes, you did.
I don't like that they're 11-1. They've cost me too much money because I don't like these service academy teams being this good. I don't like it. I need them to be like 7-5 and be real pain in the asses, right? This is what I want my Army team to be. Air Force, 8-4. Army, 8-4. Navy, 5-7. Navy, I'm never worried about Navy. Anyway, I like the over. I think Army they just truck people. They just run it. It's going to be a lot of running. I get that the under is definitely in play in a service academy game, but I like the over in this one. So give me Army. I'm gonna take the points. I'm gonna take a favorite, and I'm gonna take the over.
Yeah. Army looking really good. I really wanted SMU to just thump Clemson, and I wanted the committee to get together and go, we're putting in Army. Bama, you're home. We're putting in Army at 11-1, possibly 12-1. I would have loved it just for those kids, man. It would have been awesome. But listen, I'm going to be on the same thing, man. I'm going to be on Army. They're too damn good this year. I think that they cover the 6.5, which sounds crazy in this football game because this is always a competitive, close football game for the most part. It's going to take a Navy miracle that could only match the Black Knight miracle when they ended that, 12, 13 year streak or something like that, Frosty, when they finally beat Navy.
2017, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, right. It's going to take an effort like that where we see Navy, who nobody thinks can win the game. That's what it'll take. I'm on Army. I'm on the over. And Frosty, now before you pick, I just want to show this picture of you that I found. I think shows you may have a little conflict in this game. I think you may have a little conflict. That's you, buddy. Senior day at Olivet, next to my man in the Navy, posing with the Navy. Looked like you were being recruited by Navy there. A little spiteful at Navy, or
no? That was my head football coach in high school, the legendary Hall of Fame, Michigan Coaching Hall of Fame, Gene Lefebvre, who is a MSU grad. His one of my teammates, Tommy Poulter, the year before I graduated, went to the Naval Academy. And I don't know if he wore that sweatshirt to like motivate me or like
he mixed you guys up. He didn't remember who was who. He thought you were headed to the Naval Academy. He thought he was at a Naval Academy game, probably. Anyway, who you like in this one?
Hey, just those of you listening to this podcast, just if you haven't watched him, Captain America, Bryson Daly, Army's quarterback. He's a linebacker playing running back, playing quarterback. If for any other reason, watch the game. This dude's going to carry the ball. If they're going to run the ball 60 times, he's going to carry 50 of them. And then he's going to hand off to the fullback, Kanye Udo, who's also going to go for 100. Both teams, just like Michigan, Ohio State, throughout their records, Army's got too much. They're brutal, physical on both sides of the ball. The best team in a generation for Army. They got jobbed in a bowl playing Marshall in some afterthought bowl. I thought they should have been against an SEC team or a Big Ten team in a second-tier bowl. Whatever. It is what it is. Army easily take the over. The Surface Academy scoring, winning games 10-7, 14-13 is over. It's a new era. Army, take the over.
Army and take the over. Now, listen, I got to tell you really quickly on this note, them playing Marshall, kind of fun because you got two conference champions two
It'll be a good
conference
bowl.
champions. And I think they did the same thing with Jacksonville State is playing against Ohio. So I think they cooked those group of 4 schools and put the champs against each other, which like we touched on earlier, I kind of love that. You know what I mean? I do. They deserved a better bowl game, but I do love that they had these guys playing against each other for these championships is really cool.
Let me tell you something about that Marshall Army game. Marshall's like a 7.5 point dog. They're going to get trucked by Army. I'm calling it right now. Army is going to truck Marshall.
You think so, huh?
Yes, I do. I think Army is going to take this game very seriously, and I think they're going to truck Marshall. I'm already on Army.
All right, man. Well, we'll put you on the record for that. We'll discuss that when that game comes up for All Right Bet. You guys know that that's every Wednesday night for your free NCAA and your free NFL picks. We're handing out free money on Wednesday nights. If you're not listening to DWMOD pod, All Right Bet, you're flushing money down the toilet. But I would like to say this on the way out about the Army-Navy game, guys. There is no doubt about it. This is the greatest rivalry in college football. It's bigger than the game, Ohio State and Michigan. It's bigger than the Iron Bowl. This is the biggest rivalry for one reason. This game is everything to these kids. After the Iron Bowl, after Michigan, Ohio State, the game, these guys are moving on to playoffs. These guys are moving on to chase national championships at Ohio State, even if they lose to Michigan. They're on to NFL. They're on to bigger and better things that they're heading toward, things to look forward to in their football careers. That game isn't as meaningful to them. These kids, this is everything. They don't care what happened all year long. They're going to take this one with them into deployment and run into these guys out there that they played with or played against in this game. This is everything for these kids. This is the most fun game of the year for me. I hope everybody comes out of it unscathed and uninjured, and I just hope Army covers the spread.
It'll be really ironic when I bet on Army and then they don't cover the spread. I'm going to be this will be my final straw for Army. And if it's not here when they don't cover against Marshall, that will officially be my final straw for Army. I want to be glad this Army team goes away. I'm very mad at this team, and I'm going to be glad this is the last 2 times for them to burn me.
Well, they probably will. Listen, on that note, Frosty, happy retirement to you, brother. Listen, thank you for your service and everything, man. I love having you on the show. We got to get you on a Wednesday night, maybe for All Right Bet, just to make some NFL picks or something if you want to do that. I'll reach out to you and we'll set that up. Andy, I know you're going crazy over there. We're going to cut you loose to pick your daughter up and get that stuff done. Listen, thoughts and prayers headed out to the St. Clair household with what's happening over there right now.
We planted a tree. Wait, who did you guys say? Green Bay or Seattle? What was the quick?
Oh, I'm on Seattle. You guys are on Green Bay.
Yeah, you're on the over or the under?
I'm on the over. I'm Seahawks in the over.
Oh, I'm Green Bay in the under. What was Frosty?
Yeah.
Green Bay over.
Green Bay over.
Okay.
Everything else pretty matched up and lined up, man. So you guys, hey, don't forget, tune in Wednesday nights. This coming up Wednesday, we're going to have All Right Bet. We're going to have all your free picks for you moving forward to bowl games and NCAA football. We're going to have all your free NFL bets. We're giving you teasers. Just tune into the show. You know the deal. And every Friday, it's the Big 6 Picks right here on DWMOD. Frosty, Andy, thank you guys for being here. I love you, and we'll see you next time. Louis,
bye, dudes.
Bye, dudes. Louis, play the fucking song, man.
Ready? College football is now B1G versus SEC.
Down, hook.
If you ain't listening to All Right Bet with me and Andy St. Clair, you're throwing away money.
Ready?
All Lions fans drinking that Kool-Aid. Super Bowl. Hey, disagree with me or don't. That's how it works.
Man, be quicker with that next time. For Christ's sakes, man.